You're listening to the Restoration Podcast, conversations of hope and healing. Join us as we talk about subjects dealing with ministry, faith, everyday life, and other hot topics. Our prayer is that these conversations bring encouragement to your life. So, Lewis and I grew up in the same church, sort of. We'll get into that. But we were in the same youth worship team. Mm-hmm. And then eventually we got older and we were in the big church worship team. So Lewis was the drummer, I was a vocalist and the keys player. I don't know how long we did that for, because I know I was a freshman in high school. So that was either 09 or 2000. No, it was 09, Orlando 09, right?
Yeah.
And then all the way until 17. How many years is that? Like 8 years? Well, we played a long time together.
Yeah, we did.
And so Lewis is a drummer. His sister was our main vocalist.
Right.
Here at the church. But I've shared this before, and I want you to just, I mean, I know people believe me, but just tell people, yes, it's true. Like, it's because of fine arts that we put that band together, right?
Oh, definitely. I think we wanted to start a youth band.
Yeah.
Just like some youth, I think we were pushed by some of our leaders to, hey, you guys have talent.
Yeah.
We were all maybe part of different ministries in the church.
Yeah.
Like I was part of the varones, which is the men's ministry. So I would play old school drum beats.
I didn't know that. That's how you started playing, right?
That's how I got my foot in the door.
The basic drum beats for the varones.
At church.
That's hilarious.
And so, and I know you sang.
Yeah, I helped my dad with the choir stuff.
The choir stuff. My sister sang at the youth already.
And we had a couple other friends. So it was very much like but we didn't really know what we were doing.
It's like the Avengers, actually.
It's exactly like the Avengers.
Yeah, so.
Assemble.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we were all very, like, green. Like, we were all, like, very new.
Yeah.
All of us.
Especially
That's
Isaac. Yeah, especially Isaac. Well, Isaac, he learned, everybody could play, like, their instrument.
He literally
or already
picked up the guitar as we put the band together.
Exactly. He bought his first guitar and tried to learn for fine arts.
Yeah. So literally for fine arts, we put together a worship team. And then at that time, we were like high school kids. So we became the youth worship band.
Yeah. And
we were on every single Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Man. Yeah.
The days, right? How fun.
Amazing.
How cool.
I know. It's like,
I was reflecting
that doesn't
on
happen
that.
anymore.
No, it doesn't. Even our church, they're trying to make a youth band.
Okay.
And they're heavy. They have a lot of vocalists, but they're lacking in instrumentalists. And I hate being that guy, like, well, at my church we did it this way. But I was like, hey, so at my church, like, we had a youth band, and it was the same team like every single Wednesday, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And we had to learn. It was basically sink or swim. So what happened was I described this on one of our first episodes, but we have a youth ministry at the church that we grew up in, Tabernacle Tab Church, and youth always had a worship team. There was a previous generation, Isai and them.
Yep.
There was a previous generation, another close friend of ours, and they were aging out. They were like moving out, getting older,
graduating, going to college.
So then the youth band was losing people because they were getting older.
Right.
And so then your sister was the first one because she's a little older than us. She was the vocalist for them, and she kind of
bridged the gap.
Yeah. And so she was trying to recruit. I remember she came to me. She's like, "You sing, right?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Come sing in youth." And I was like, "What?" Little 8th grade me. I'm like, "You're joking, right?" And then fine arts was coming around. Maybe you can remember, whose idea was it to put that worship team together? Do you remember?
Ah, man.
I don't know who it was.
Honestly, it was God.
For real.
But like, it happened so organically.
Yeah.
That it was just like ordained, and if I can get to my gospel. Not just kidding. But like, no, it really was God like put that together, and I really feel like that was actually a move of God. Like,
yes. Can you imagine how different our lives would be if we didn't do that?
I don't know where I would be.
Me neither. Seriously, I literally would not be doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
And the friendships and how close, how tight. I can't describe how tightly knit we were.
Right.
It wasn't just a worship team. We were best friends.
Right.
Like, we were there for each other.
Yes.
Highs and lows, even though life's highs and lows are way higher and lower now. But for students, we were very tightly knit. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so we put a band together for fine arts, and you guys, we didn't know what we were doing. Like, for those who understand this, I literally played root position 1, 3, 5 chords. I barely knew what I was doing. And we were learning how to play as a band, and this is before we had in-ears. This is before click tracks, and so we rehearsed a lot.
Yeah.
For a 2-song set.
Yeah, we did.
Do you remember what they were? Because I do.
Man. Oh
the
man,
first 2.
Never Stop
By Planet Shakers.
By Planet Shakers and Bless the Lord.
No, it was The Glory of It All by the David Crowder Band.
Oh yeah, okay. That was
who picked that? I don't know.
Robert?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
one of
he
our
was
friends.
into those little.
Yeah, and then we did it, and it went okay. We made it to nationals.
Yeah.
Our people know what that means. We talked about farmers before, and then we did it every year after. I guess did we do it 3 or 4 times? 3 because y'all were a year ahead of me. So then I don't know if you remember this story or not, but when we did it, it was either the 2nd or 3rd year we did it. We got merit at district level.
Yeah.
Merit, for those of y'all listening, is the top scoring group in that category. And it was at SAGU, now Nelson University, Southwestern Assembly of God. So it's a big venue, okay, in their chapel. And they said, merit goes to, and it was our band. And then they were like, get ready, you're performing for everybody. And we're at celebration service. And your cousin, who was kind of our like mentor and coach.
Yeah, Mondo.
Yeah.
Shout out Mondo.
Mondo, we love you. He described it this way. He goes, man, he goes, when they called y'all up there, remember you guys, we didn't know what we were doing. He goes, y'all went up there and y'all did not even know how to plug in. Like we were like turning with like a cable. Like, where do I plug this in? And we went up there, and I'm never gonna forget that. That one was "Light of Salvation" by the Desperation Band and "Bless the Lord" by Jeff Deo.
Oh yeah, that's
oh my gosh! Like, and I don't mean to be biased. Maybe I do mean to be biased, but I describe even to Tori when I talk about. Sometimes I go on this tangent about the glory days or whatever, not in an unhealthy way, just to it happened. But I can't really explain like. Is it cocky of me to say we were pretty good?
We were solid.
We were pretty good.
And we had the chemistry as a friend group to be worked well together.
Yeah.
I would say musically and
And it didn't start that way.
No, it didn't.
It was rough at first. Yeah. But the more we did it, the quicker we learned songs and the more we got into flow.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that you can't really just pick up on day one. You can't flow from day one. You can't have chemistry from day one. You can't try new things from day one or whatever. And we really gelled together, chemistry wise, relationship wise. Y'all are still very good friends of mine. I don't talk to y'all as often because I live far away or whatever, and y'all have lives too. Some of them are married, some of them have kids, work or whatever. But it really was a sweet time now that I look back at it. On the drive here, when I knew we were going to do this, I was just reminiscing about how really great those times were and how fun they were. Right. I didn't realize how long it was, 09 to 17. I didn't realize that's a long time.
Yeah.
And so what happened, I shared, Pastor Jay was on, he was a guest, and I brought this up that, I don't know if you remember this, but we were the youth worship team, and adults kind of rotated in the big church. There was one weekend when all the adults were like unavailable. I don't know if you remember that. And so they asked our youth pastor, Brother Tony, a wonderful guy, by the way. Miss him a lot, miss him dearly.
Awesome.
But he came up to us and was like, hey, Pastor Jay said that all the regular worship adults are unavailable. You think the youth team can... Do you remember that?
Yeah. I mean...
And Tony was like, yeah. See, I told you I have a good memory. No. Anyway, what happened was we didn't play on Sundays yet. We were still just doing Wednesdays.
Oh, okay.
So that one Sunday, we were like the last option. We're the bottom of the barrel. Okay? But in a nicer way. We did it, and it went so well. The Spirit moved so strongly. Ever since then, Pastor Jay had us in the rotation once a month. And that's how we slowly... Then as we aged out and graduated, we went from being the youth band to just worship in the big church, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that specifically, but that's how it happened.
I think I was playing maybe a little...
You probably were.
I was playing already in the big
We're always short drummers.
Yeah, that was always a need.
It's still like that today, by the way.
Yeah. At every church,
Every church has a shortage of in general, volunteers.
Volunteers, right.
But when it comes to musicians, it's usually drummers that people are short on. But anyway, we've played together for a long time.
We're not dependable. I'm sorry.
You said it. You're a drummer. You're saying it.
Yeah, I own it.
But the other cool thing about us playing was it wasn't just for youth. You remember the other things we played at? We did a lot.
Oh, man. Just several...
Youth camps, youth rallies,
oh yeah,
special services, Ranger camp.
Yeah, Girls camps.
A lot of girls camps.
Yeah. Too many.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Sometimes
we had to sign waivers.
I know. Sometimes I share a story. I was like, yeah, I remember one time at girls camp, and I'm like, I was on the worship team.
Why were you at girls
camp?
camp?
I know. I was on the worship team. But the reason for that was your sister was kind of a very sought after worship leader.
Yeah.
And so she always wanted a band to back her up. And so we were from her home church. So we went. I've literally lost count. I was trying to count and remember how many girls camps. We did a lot of them.
Yeah.
It was really, and that was really fun, was playing outside of home.
Yeah.
We played at Incredible Pizza once. Remember that?
Oh my
Cringe.
goodness. That was the funniest experience. Yeah.
It was different.
Place to play and worship.
Just whatever, right?
Yeah.
We did a Battle of the Bands. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
We did a lot.
In Humble, Texas.
Yeah, we did a lot.
Oh my gosh.
We did a lot. Youth rallies, just so many things. And I meant to make a list of specific memories to see if you remembered them. Uh-huh. I'll try my best to remember. But before I ask those, do you have any that stick out? Can you remember? I know it was kind of a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Like we're adults now, but
okay, I have one that I just
maybe it's on my list.
This is like the
funny one.
Yeah, it's a funny one. So
which one?
My god brother Isai, who was our
already.
You already know.
I don't know. It'll be a good one though.
So he went to college. He went to university at University of Houston downtown.
Yeah.
He had some friends there that were African American. They had a gospel church.
I know where this is going.
And they talked about playing worship together, and then they said, "Well, we have a worship night, and why don't you come over with your band, Isai, and you can be the headliner, I guess, the last band to go. Everybody else, obviously, they're gospel players."
And at that point, we had not really been exposed to that.
I don't think we were in that scene at all.
Different realm.
A different
genre completely.
What would we would play more?
That's
Jesus
a great
Culture.
question. We were more contemporary, or I don't know, Jesus Culture. They were big then.
Right.
Bethel wasn't really on the scene yet.
Yeah.
It was a lot of Hillsong and Jesus Culture. Okay, but continue.
And then we went to that place and we felt so out of place because we were like the last band to go, and everyone had just killed it.
Dude, they were like
amazing.
They were incredible.
Amazing
gospel stuff.
Gospel, and the singers were amazing, and the players, everything was just crazy. Like on another level, advanced, and we were like, what are we doing here? Like,
then we go up with our 4-chord songs.
We go up and we're like, man, how can we like top what they did and like have the spirit move and
can't no.
But let's just do what we do. And then you want to tell them what happened?
This was on my list.
So we were setting up.
So each band, as they went out, they made a few changes. So like obviously you're not going to replace the drum set.
Yeah. But
like people brought their own keyboards, their own guitars, and I can't remember specifically how they. From what I remember, the transitions were pretty smooth.
Yeah, they were.
I think maybe a pad held the room or something.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was we brought our own we brought our own keyboard, and I'm on second keys. Not to make things more complicated, but the guy you mentioned, Isai, for a while he had a band, and we had that band and ours. There were some different ones, but anyway, we were with Isai at the time. And so when it was our turn, we had to set up our keyboard that we brought. I don't remember what kind it was, but I do remember, I think there was a motif, which was the keyboard to have. It was the Nord of 2010.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I still remember being on the platform, and the guy was like, I'll bring it to you. I'll change it for you. I think he was in the sound booth. And so people were still have their hands up, and we're on the platform getting ready. So he's telling us, we're going to start with this, whatever. I don't even remember what songs. Mm-hmm. And I see this guy coming down the stairs from the booth, coming to the platform, and he's trying to be quiet to not distract anybody.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which keyboard it was, but one of the keyboards he picked up, and when he put it on the stand, I don't know if it was, I can't remember exactly, but he dropped the keyboard.
Right.
Remember that?
Yep.
And it was loud. It was
just made the funniest keyboard dropping sound.
Embarrassing.
With all the little high note keys.
And it's like a sentimental worshipful.
Like, ding, ding.
It's funny now, but in the moment I was very embarrassed, and he was like sweating. I think in his mind he was like, "Did I just drop this? Like, how do you recover?" I'm never gonna forget that.
Did one of the keys mess up?
Yes,
I think
more than one. I looked to the high side, and there was like some keys popped out of place. I was like, "It wasn't my fault." I remember now.
But it was for you, or was for Robert?
It was for me.
Okay.
I literally said, "I can move the keyboard," but he was. There's a Spanish word, terco, stubborn. He was like, I think he wanted to protect his gear, which I get. Okay. But he really wanted to be the one to move it, I guess. So if something like that happened, it's on him, not on us. Right. Okay. But it happened, and it was awkward, man, but funny.
It was the funniest thing. I'm like, well,
I'm never gonna forget that.
How do we play after that?
I know.
It was just so embarrassing.
And the crowd was very nice, generous. They were responsive. Yeah. I think they could tell we were kind of felt out of place, and that. And they didn't want to be mean about it. So it was cool. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about worship, too, not to get too deep yet, but no matter the genre, worship's worship. If it's gospel, if it's Hispanic things like coritos, if it's Jesus culture, if it's contemporary, it's Southern gospel, it's all worship,
Right.
So the other things I was going to ask you about was there was another, I should have made this list of memories that happened. Mm-hmm. Another one, I don't know if you remember this or not. Again, I have a weird memory. Very selective. We played at a youth rally. I don't remember the name of the church, but we were doing worship, and the youth were not responding. Do you remember this? You know where I'm going?
I don't know. Go ahead.
They were not responsive, like they were statues, and it was very awkward. But we did what we do, and we just played through it. Right. And the youth pastor there that invited us to play, he was upset.
At us?
No, at his youth.
At his youth
for not responding.
I remember that.
Okay, he comes up. Grabs the mic, and just in a very tone of voice of not frustration, but you could tell he was frustrated because back in the day, youth rallies were more well attended. I don't even know if they do them anymore. And it's a special event, and we invited a worship team, and you guys just stand there, and he grabs the mic. He's like, "Yeah, why should you worship?"
I remember. Now I remember. I remember.
Yeah, why should you lift your hands? Yeah, we serve a dead God, right? And I can't remember exactly, but
super
he
sarcastic.
said a lot, and I was up there like, this is awkward. Yeah, it's like, Jesus, you're right. He didn't die for your sins. Oh, he didn't pay the price. Right. Yeah, you're right. Why should you worship? And slowly, like
everybody,
hands went up. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it was so awkward.
The funniest things because we would mock him a little bit afterwards.
Yes, we would.
But like for fun.
But yeah, because it was a fun memory.
It was just a funny thing that happened. And we would be like, Jesus didn't die for your sins.
Yeah. He literally did that. Yeah. He literally said like what it seemed like the kids were thinking, which they obviously weren't. Right. But that was so awkward.
Oh man, it was funny though, because the hand slowly went up after.
Out of guilt.
And I'm guilt.
Oh, gosh, this is awkward.
Okay, God is good. Yeah. He's like,
And they came around,
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a lot. Rallies, camps. As I started thinking about it, like there was too many to count, honestly. I'm really thankful for that. Mm-hmm. It was a really fun time. Remember the one year I went to camp? I went to camp 1 year, Ranger camp.
Oh, your first one?
My first and only one.
Oh my God.
And I can't tell you why. It never appealed to me.
Were we the band or
no? I'm getting there. We're students.
Okay.
I got to say, our commanders and stuff, they did a great job. They were awesome what they did, and I loved camp. I enjoyed it.
Brother
Ben. Yep, it was awesome. Outpost 3. Anyway, what happened? So since I had never been, I had never been, and so we had a pretty big group, so they had to have a lot of tents. And they were like, okay, pick your tent partners, and I'm looking around, y'all are avoiding me because you had your partners or your go-to guys, and so I was left with the leftover guy. Do you remember?
I think so.
And then he left me for some reason, so I had to try to put the tent together.
I remember this so well.
I had never put a tent together, and so I'm inside the tent.
Can I?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so
it's funnier from your perspective because I still don't know what you saw or what you heard.
Okay, man, this is so. This memory is like one of my core memories of you.
That's really sad. That's so pathetic.
It's not as pathetic because it's just like, it's not pathetic, but it's just you, and it's funny to me and everyone else that we know, all our friends. So like, obviously, I think, it was your first Royal Rangers, and I think I had been to like 3 or 4 before that.
Y'all had been to.
And so we were, it was like a well-oiled machine with my friends and I. I think it was Sammy and Isaac and another
couple
friend.
other guys.
Yeah. So we had just the people to know how to build our tent and get going with whatever else chore that we needed to do. So when we got our groups, they said pick 3 or 4 people to be in your group, pick a camp area for your tent, and set it up. So we put our tent together in like maybe 5 minutes. It didn't take long at all because we knew what we were doing. And then everyone else is kind of doing, unpacking, doing their thing, laying out their, sleeping bag, everything. So, right after that, because we got there late at night, and they were like, let's make dinner. Like, you guys make your tents. We're going to make dinner. So once you're done with your tents, come over here to the area where we're going to, eat. And we were done. We were hungry. We were like, let's go over there. And some people were like, come on, let's go. Everybody's leaving. So that area of like the sleeping area
was empty. Right?
Was empty, and
no one was there.
I think the only ones there were people who haven't been there or didn't know how to set up the tent right.
Like me.
And I heard Aaron inside the tent like, hold on guys, like wait for me. And then I think like somebody else was in there with you.
No.
Oh, it was just
by
you.
Myself.
Oh, that makes it even funnier.
It's even worse.
I think it was just you. Yeah.
Let me explain real quick before you continue. Okay. What happened was I never put a tent together and it kept collapsing.
Yeah.
So I thought you guys were messing with me.
Yeah.
From outside.
Where we weren't, and it was so funny because everyone was leaving, and I was like waiting for you because you're also my friend, and I'm like, hey, where's Aaron at? And then you're like, hold on, guys, wait up for me. I think you were like still changing or something.
Yeah.
And then like, I think because some people were messing with everyone else, but we weren't doing that.
But not
to
me.
You.
Y'all felt bad, I think.
And then, so we were leaving, and we're like, "Where's Aaron?" And then you're like, "Hold on, guys, I'm coming." And then like the tent started to fall because it wasn't placed correctly.
And I was inside of it.
And you were inside, and you're like, "Stop messing with me, guys! Like, stop messing with the tent."
But y'all weren't.
We weren't touching it at all. And we were just like, looking and just laughing and be like, "There's nobody touching it."
That's so embarrassing.
And I think you like came out and then you set it up.
Someone
correctly.
I don't remember who. Someone ended up helping me.
Yeah,
but
that
was
so
very pitiful.
Funny. Man,
embarrassing. But anyway, what I was saying was I attended a Royal Ranger camp, and I remember the first night of worship there. I don't know who the band was. I had never experienced that before. I mean, we have worship at church and youth, whatever, but this was all boys, and boys and student boys especially usually don't respond to worship. They don't want to lift their hands. They don't want to sing. They don't want to do anything.
Right.
And I was expecting the same thing. Man, when they started worship, and this is back in whatever year that was, I remember they were doing Take It All by Hillsong United. And all around me, I was surrounded by these like athletic boys and, whatever. And they were jumping. They were lifting their hands. They were singing. I was like, what? I wasn't expecting that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember the preacher's name, but he did great, and we had a powerful altar time. Like boys were going, and I'm like, I've never seen this before, and it really impacted me. I'll never forget that. But what's amazing looking back now is that was my first time or whatever. We were attending, and we were watching the worship team, and then little did we know, years later it was flip flop. We'd be the worship team,
right?
And then they were, you know what I mean?
Okay,
kind of crazy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is like. When you saw that, I remember that moment too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, man, I wish I could do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, I wish I could do that. And like, I guess, I feel like God placed a desire in my heart.
Yes.
To be able to like worship that way.
Yep.
Or minister. Mm-hmm. And it, like you said, it ended up happening.
I never thought
where
that would
it
happen.
flip flopped. Where we were.
And then we were there, and when we were the worship team, it hit me. I was taken back to that camp. I was like, I'm up here, and some of those might be looking at me. You know what I mean? And it was crazy. I still can't believe we had that a ranger camp that we did. I never thought we got asked for rallies all the time or for whatever, but a ranger camp, I was like, wow, that like hit different, and it was amazing to see that. And the same thing happened. The boys were really into it, really responsive, praying for each other, because they're outside of the element or whatever, literally. Yeah. And so they can, cut loose, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But it was awesome. But yeah, we played together mainly. Then after a while, it was just on Sundays because we got older, graduated high school, life started happening, jobs, college. Some people moved away. And I still really treasure those times. I don't know if you remember, but we used to have night services.
Yeah.
So when we were on, we would do the morning and then we'd go eat somewhere and then go to
Yes.
someone's house.
Right.
And then have to be back 4:30 for rehearsal.
Yeah.
I can't believe we did that. It's crazy.
That's so crazy.
That's commitment.
Yeah. I can't believe we did that. Like,
we did it a lot.
Clockwork.
Yeah.
Every Sunday.
We were just so down to it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I want to talk about is we had chemistry, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
We also, I mean, I gotta speak for me. I can't speak for you. I genuinely enjoyed doing it.
Same. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like, that's why I didn't care that I was at church for 10 hours, 12. You know what I mean?
And how many times did you go to? I mean,
a lot.
We were there Tuesdays.
So
Wednesdays.
Sundays we had morning services and an evening service. Tuesday they had a ministry called TNT, Tuesday nights together. Sometimes we'd go, and that was just hang out.
Right.
Wednesday night was youth service.
But we'd practice during TNT.
We would practice sometimes during TNT.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night they used to have prayer services.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And they had youth prayer, and we'd go. So some weeks I'd be there Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Let's not forget, we used to also rehearse Thursdays for Sunday. Remember that?
Yeah. Thursdays for the big church.
Dude, so we had Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We were there a lot. And here's the thing. I lived on the other side of town. I lived in Pasadena.
Yeah.
So I had a further drive.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a question of should I do it or should I not do it. I was like, I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mean to vent. Okay, seriously. Let me make this clear before I dig into this, okay? I'm not trying to send a message to anyone in particular. Okay, I want to make that clear.
Okay.
But in today's day and age, you know what planning center is, right?
Planning center, yeah.
PCO.
Mm-hmm.
It blows my mind how some people can even think or leave it as pending or even decline. We didn't have PCO back then.
Right.
We just had verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I didn't even think twice. Yes,
your word.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say yes. I would say, why would I miss that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were there a lot, but again, I can't speak for you, but I genuinely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was really,
Same.
really fun. And we got really close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be honest, I learned a lot from that and rolling it over into what I do now.
Mm.
That's how I started. I learned this works, this doesn't work. But the other cool thing about us was that we were very influenced by the music we listened to.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of music did we listen to?
Rock.
Yeah.
And screamo.
Alternative Christian rock.
And, yeah, Christian rock. Under Oath.
Drop some names. Yeah, Under Oath.
Under Oath. Devil Wears Prada.
Amberlin. Emery.
I mean, yes.
Emery was a huge
Emery
influence.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh, man, I love
Please don't judge me. Sometimes when I listen to Emery today, it literally makes me cry.
Oh.
I don't know about you. Because
some songs.
Some of them just in a good way. Not
in a good way.
Like a depressing cry.
Which song? Which album?
What about you? You tell me.
I like In Shallow Seas We Sow.
Dude. Yes.
Same. Right? Yes, same.
Cutthroat Collapse.
Okay. I'm not.
No.
Not that
Curbside Goodbye.
Curbside Goodbye. Yes.
The
slower songs too.
I don't know. It gets me emotional because it takes me back to those days.
Yeah.
But
that was, and you remember those albums?
You're taken back to when they came out and what was going on in life then.
Yes.
Good times.
Exactly.
Right? Nothing but good times.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, we went through the typical stuff every student goes through, you know, breakups or awkward whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But that, I don't know about you, that the other reason it makes me cry sometimes is because that music was there for me always.
Such a good breakup songs.
They're very good. Yeah, they're very
good. And, you know, they wrote them for that.
Yeah.
Those are there.
But that music was always there for me.
Yeah.
So when I was going through a rough whatever, I'd go put on Emery and you know, Fractions or my gosh.
Oh man.
And so what I'm getting at is we had a similar taste in music, excuse me, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's another way to bond.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
A
huge way to bond.
A lot of you guys were very into sports and athletic. I never was athletic, but I could bond with y'all over that music. That was something we had in common.
Yeah.
And it also influenced the way we played.
It did.
And I think that's another reason why we were so tightly knit was because we didn't just, I don't know about you, we didn't just listen to music, we would analyze it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You had a term, I don't know if you remember, I would say, hey, what do you think of that song? He'd go, dude, the drums on that, so technical.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, technical.
I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, it's very specific.
Yeah.
And we would listen and then that would again apply to our worship playing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the one that pointed out that I actually sing a lot like Toby Morrell.
Yes, you do.
And
I love that.
I do too.
No, like
you are like who you sing like who you listen to, and
you like them in some way.
And I that makes sense because I listen to them a lot,
Yeah.
and I went back and listened, and I'm like, yeah, I can hear. I still can hear it.
Yeah, and you know what? CCM nowadays is more like a rock style.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where we grew up with listening to rock, and as Christians, we're like we play worship like rock.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that.
Yeah.
I feel like comes from that.
Yeah.
So. And, you know, like you're saying, I love the way you sing, bro. And the way you sing sounds like Toby.
And I'm okay with that.
And I love that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Because I think he has one of the most beautiful voices. And that's not me trying to, like, say that I have the most beautiful voice.
Blazing. But no,
I think do that.
No, but yeah,
I love his voice.
He's one of, like, my favorite singers.
I've always loved his voice.
Yeah.
And the way him and Devin harmonize together, kind of like Aaron Gillespie and Spencer, like there's no other combination like that, or no combination like, which takes me to another topic. We did a lot, didn't we? Mm-hmm. We also saw Emery live together.
When was that?
Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
We went. I still have a picture.
Dang.
We went, and that was a blast.
Yes, I mean, what
I
don't remember what you...
I saw them 2.5 times. Okay. Let me explain the half. The first time I went was not with y'all. I went with a friend from school to the Scream It Like You Mean It tour.
Okay.
And Silverstein was headlining.
Oh.
But Emery was second.
Okay.
And that was when In Shallow Seas We Sail came out. And they came out and opened with Walls. And I was like, yes. And they came out.
That's actually my ringtone, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Are you listening?
Dude, yes.
This is my ringtone.
They came out in Hawaiian shirts. You know.
Oh.
You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
And then Toby had his cordless mic with the thing taped to it so he could swing it. You remember that?
Yes, the color tape.
And I was like, yeah. Like
electric tape? Yeah.
I was like, they came out and did
the orange electric tape? Or
no, that was Spencer.
Spencer, yeah,
but
he did that.
Toby Morrell, Emery, he used to have this, like, I don't know how to describe it, like a thick thread or something taped to a wireless mic. Okay. So he would grab this thread that was like 4 feet long, and he'd swing it and swing his mic in the air. And he came out, and when they did Walls, Josh Head did the "Are you listening?" And everyone went crazy.
And it's so funny how you remember those little details of what they did.
Yep.
And you're like, man, that's cool. That's so cool. I want to be like that.
Low key, I wanted to do that at Fine Arts.
But
that did not happen.
I'm like, why didn't we
learn? Can you imagine? Bless the Lord. Like, that doesn't quite fit.
I know.
But anyway, okay, so that was the first time I saw them. The second time was with y'all. I don't remember who all went, but it was when We Do What We Want came out.
Oh.
And it was in it was at the warehouse, smaller room.
Warehouse Live.
Yep. And there was a whole bunch of, they were the headliners.
Yes.
And then there were some other bands there. I think Oh Sleeper was there.
Yeah.
And I think, was Gideon there too?
Gideon was
there. A couple other great Screamo bands.
Yeah.
But Emery came out, and I was like, I remember.
My Children, My Bride, was there?
Possibly.
Okay.
But this is when Devin had left.
Okay.
Which, by the way, another side note, we not only analyzed the music, we knew all the members by name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So Devin left, and they had a guy named Andy. I don't remember the name of the band he was a part of, but he stepped in for Devin, and he fit in really nice, and he played guitar, he could sing. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget, they did the set, and then all of a sudden, they like left their post, and they brought up 3 chairs. I was like, you know what this means? Acoustic set. And oh my, they did Fractions, and I'm pretty sure I cried. When Toby was like, it's good to see you, or whatever. I'm in the wrong key. Missed you last night. Oh my gosh. So, but we were there. That was such a sweet memory because these are the guys we listened to, and they're literally in front of us.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
I remember that now. And like you said, it was in the small room, so it was really, really hot.
Intimate and hot, yeah.
And hot because everybody's just moshing
Sweaty,
each other and just pushing each other. But also like hugging and like, you know, arm hugging each other and swaying when it's a slow song or something.
I had never experienced worshiping to Screamo until then.
Yeah.
They opened with So Cold I Could See My Breath.
Yes.
And I was like, yes. Like,
it's such a hype song to start with.
Like such good times.
I remember almost passing out afterwards because I was like, when we were walking away, like to our cars, I was like, my legs can't hold me anymore.
For hours.
And I was on the floor, and I think somebody had to pick me up. But like I was on the floor, I couldn't stand anymore.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was the best part was I was there with you guys. Yeah. Like it was so much fun.
That was fun.
And then I saw them a halftime. I say that because Matt and Toby did a side project called Matt and Toby. They have 2 albums. I'm a music fanatic, you guys. I'm sorry. And they did it was called a tour in your living room or a living room tour, and it was kind of unique. I think more people do it now, but back then it was unique where they like posted cities and they specifically wanted to play in people's homes, do shows in homes. Oh, yeah. But this was just Matt and Toby. It wasn't Emory, but they were still part of Emory.
Yep.
And one of the cities was Springfield, Missouri, and I was a student at Evangel in Springfield, and the venue was this art museum, and I met this friend, this girl, who was a drummer, and she was into all this music, and I was like, hey, do you want to go see Matt and Toby? And we went. That was a really good show because they did Matt and Toby music, but they also did Emory music, and it was really good. Actually, that was one of the first videos on my personal YouTube channel. I think you actually commented on it too. Oh, I recorded at the time my favorite Emory song, which was Listening to Freddie Mercury.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like,
it's one of my favorites.
And so, but yeah, we saw them, and like I said, the way we bonded over music and other things, but they really had an influence on how we sang and how we timed things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this or not, but we also did Christian band. Remember that?
Yeah.
Christian band was you can write your own stuff or do covers.
Right.
What inspired me about that was it was another moment of inspiration, like I want to do that, was because Isai and that previous generation, they did Christian band their senior year just for fun.
Yeah.
And they did a song by Cutlass called "Can You Hear the Music All Around You?" I think is what it's called.
Oh my gosh!
And real quick, I want to freeze.
Music all around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I can mention that. I want to mention that I know I mentioned how we were good and we gelled. Isai and those guys, they were good too.
Yeah.
They were on a different level. Some of them have gone to do like crazy stuff. They were insanely talented. So I was there as a younger youth student, probably in junior high, and I saw them do Christian band. I literally said, I want to do that someday.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
We did it twice.
Yeah.
Do you remember the song we did the first time? It's going to make you cringe.
This is The Art of Breaking?
By 1,000-Foot Crutch.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God.
I
chose that.
Bad. I probably did.
You did. I remember you did. So I'm going to play it.
Yeah. And first of all, how we even learned to do that, I don't know. We just figured it out.
Yeah.
And so we did it. And I remember our people there were like, Aaron, I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, yeah, because you had like a raspy voice.
Yeah, I had to like almost screamo. They're like, yeah. Is that Aaron?
Yeah.
And they're like, I didn't know you could do that. And I'm like, y'all don't know what I listen to. Like,
yeah, like on a daily basis, this is what I do.
And so we did that. And then I don't remember whose idea it was. Someone said, let's write our own song for the next year.
Yeah.
And so we wrote this song.
It was so Emory.
It was, you could tell, like, these guys listen to Emory and Underoath and Amberlin.
Yeah.
So there's a video still out there. Yeah. Your sister recorded. I think it's on Facebook.
It was the acoustic.
Oh, I'm getting there. Okay. So the first time we did it, it was like heavy.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah.
That was literally just fun.
That was just,
you know what I mean? That was just for fun.
Yeah.
And so we went out there and we did it, and
Christian band. Yeah.
And then it made it to nationals.
It was a rock.
And then I don't know what happened. I don't know what sense of maturity came over us, but we were like, we can't do it like that at nationals. Like, we need to keep up. And so I don't know who to give credit to. Mm-hmm. Someone said, let's make it acoustic.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you right now, I really think that acoustic version can stand up there with like Amberlin, Emory stuff.
Yeah.
It's really unique, and it was very us.
I think I like the acoustic version.
Me too.
More than our rock version.
It was very us. It was very much what we listened to. And
it had more of that vibe.
It was, and it's still out there.
Yeah.
And
it's on YouTube.
It is. I played tambourine.
I played the little djembe thing.
Yeah. And I was just, what's so amazing to me is that was our last year, officially or whatever. Mm-hmm. But what we were capable of, we went from I can't put a chord together to writing our own stuff and making an acoustic version. Yeah. I still think to this day, if we had really kept with it, we could have totally been like a band touring or whatever, which actually was kind of the dream.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say I'm proud of us for not pursuing that.
Oh, gosh.
That would have probably not worked out.
Man,
it's really hard.
It is.
I mean, it's harder today
Yeah.
than back then, but it was still hard back then.
Yeah.
But I truly believe if we had kept writing stuff, recording demos, we would have probably made it. But who knows what life would. There's a multiverse somewhere.
Right.
we're headlining, screaming like you mean it. We're opening for Emery. Like,
wow.
There's a multiverse somewhere.
Don't say that because I'm about to go back in time.
There's a multiverse we're opening, but it'd be a different name, like Memory or like a little over oath coming up next.
Wow.
Amber Lout. I'm done. All right. But dumb. And now we're all adults.
Yep.
And have actual responsibilities.
Yeah.
Time has moved on.
Yeah.
Some of us have moved away like me. I just keep getting further and further north. You actually are playing for my sister's church.
Yep.
Explain what that is, like what you're playing for.
Okay, so your sister asked me to play for her church.
Done. No.
But this is basically for her church. The one that she goes to is an AG church. It's called, can I mention?
Spring First, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's called Spring First. And they're primarily an English-speaking church, and they have their services, I think, 9:30 and 11.
Yeah, something like that.
Or 9:11.
I think they have one at 10:15, actually.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't matter, but they have.
And then they have a
English church.
Spanish service they just started, and they're doing an anniversary, 1-year anniversary service, November 1st. So that's what we practiced yesterday for.
They put together a special big band, and you're playing drums.
Yeah, and we have some people from the past coming back, like our singers.
Yeah,
obviously me.
People from that church.
And Melky.
Yeah.
Your brother-in-law. So I think that.
And this is the second time you're playing for them.
Yeah,
because they did a big thing.
We did another event in the past a couple months ago where I think it was just a special event. We had a special guest. They had a special speaker come.
Yeah.
And so they wanted a big band. They wanted
music.
Yeah, just big, grandiose set. Yeah. So they wanted us to come in and tear the place down, basically.
And I watched. It was good.
The live stream
their live stream quality is really good.
Yeah, it is.
And I watched, and I think Jeremiah, the guitar player, recorded it and put it on his YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. It's really good. Y'all did a good job. And what's fun is it's like Hispanic classics. Yeah. There's a style that you were familiar with. I think that's why they reached out to you.
Yeah. And so I was just familiar. Like they knew.
They had horns. Played. Yeah, they had trumpets and a trombone, and they're doing. Are they having horns again this time or no?
Yeah, they do.
They are? Okay.
They have a saxophone players. Too.
I'm sorry to hear that. No. So you're playing for them.
Yeah.
And then where do you play now?
So I play at so many places, bro.
I'm so proud of you. So you finally figured it out. No, I'm kidding.
I remember Aaron telling me you need to diversify your genres.
Yes, I did tell you that.
And I have a lot because of you. But I remember, you telling me that, and now I'm just immersed in like all this stuff. So I primarily play for a church Sunday mornings that I'm committed to. That the expectation is there for Fallbrook. It's Fallbrook Church in Cypress, Katy. And so they're building a campus, but we're in a school right now. It's a portable church, and it's a Black gospel church.
Yes.
So I play with them.
What's that like?
It's so cool because the singers, I mean, when you talk about gospel singers and just their voices are so different than what I'm used
than what we were used to.
Yeah. So I feel like the best way I can describe them is if you listen to CeCe Winans, that type of voice, and like the clarity of her voice, and the precision in her tone, the vocal range, and she can get up there. Yeah. And also these singers that I play with, they have that same like vibe.
All of them do.
And then also Tasha Cobb style, where they kind of like they have that raspy and they go churchy sometimes even, and they'll go yes Lord, and just like go for it. And man, we had a great service today where, man, I forgot the names of the songs, but I mean the songs are
Never Stop. No, I'm kidding.
No, but they're churchy songs, old school churchy, like boom da boom da boom da boom da. I mean just, and then we're just the big ladies with the hands on their hips, just going for it and screaming in the mics. And I mean, but they also have that sweet beautiful voice where it's kind of like CeCe Winans. So I would always think about like the Goodness of God's cover.
Her version.
Her version in that room and her family and whatever. Yeah. But like that is what I'm like, okay, that's another level.
It's different.
And the players I play with, so they're all contracted as well.
Huh.
And so there's a level of expectation there.
Yep.
And we're required to know.
Oh yeah.
Like the back of our hand.
Yep.
Our parts, expected to practice on our own.
Yeah.
And so we don't have any midweek practices. We just show up. We show up.
Yeah.
So our call time, if everybody's listening, I like if you know.
No one's listening. No, I'm kidding.
I think they're not.
No, they got off a long time ago. They stopped a long time ago.
If you're still listening.
Yeah, if you're still listening.
Yeah. Are you listening now?
Yes. I like it.
Okay. So so our call time is 8 a.m. and then our first service is at 10. And we're planning to have another one because the church is growing already. Nice. And so they had to put more chairs and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, I think the most they hold already is like 500.
Wow.
And
you're maxing that out already?
We're already maxing out.
That's amazing.
In the school.
That's exciting.
So that's why they're like, man, we got to put these drawings together and make the new church building. So, but it's amazing. I really like playing there with really talented musicians, and that's what I really always kind of wanted was to be on par and have like the level of skill go up as well. So that's definitely like a dream.
Come a long way.
Come a long way, yeah.
From never stop to
to playing gospel and gospel chops and also contemporary gospel stuff. So it's very cool. There's a very wide range of gospel. Yeah. You know, so just we play all of it. We play even like Maverick stuff. Right. You know, so it's kind of like CCM gospel and then also contemporary gospel and then old churchy.
Yeah, I don't mean to get you off topic.
No, go ahead.
But I think the world of worship music today has greatly expanded. Would you say the same thing?
Yeah, it has.
Because like everyone knows Maverick, everyone knows Elevation, everyone knows CeCe Winans, but like the variety is so huge. Yeah. You almost have to diversify your styles. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think kind of CeCe Winans, she was more like a gospel back in the day. Like
she's making a comeback in the CCM world.
Gotcha.
And I like
exactly.
I appreciate it.
And it's
sounds funny
good.
Too, because people our age and younger are like, yeah, CeCe. And I'm like, how do you know CeCe Winans? And I was like, oh, she's making a comeback.
She's making a comeback.
And I'm like, guys, she's been around a long time.
Exactly.
She's not new.
and they're like, well, she sings so good. I'm like, she's changing her style to fit this.
I like it.
And it sounds
But it
great.
still has a flair of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
She hasn't lost her creativity and that inspiration that she can give. But yeah, and I also play at Pneuma Church sometimes here and there with
Pastor John Ryan can too.
Yep, and Will Sanchez, who's the worship pastor there.
Nice.
And so he's a good friend of mine.
They're a little more like what we grew up with.
Yeah, exactly. And I also play for my uncle's church here and there.
That's a little different.
That's very old school.
Man, that's three very different styles.
Exactly.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, so that's a very diversified, right?
You did it.
And then also with your sister, I'm over there too. Yeah. So
that's kind of a mix.
These next 2 weeks, or this past week and yesterday. Yeah. Saturday, Sunday, I think I played 4 places. Yeah. Already in like 2 days. Like so, in the morning I was at a men's conference at Pneuma Church. Yeah. Then that afternoon I went to go play with your sister for a practice. Yeah. And then later, we were supposed to have a practice today for my uncle's church for another conference. And
you said no, I gotta go do a podcast.
No, I gotta go do that. But today in the morning I did the Black Gospel Church.
Nice.
So I'm like, man, I was super busy.
That's
and
awesome.
Like these next two after this next weekend, I'm cooked, like basically. And that's why I was like, man, I wonder if like we can get going with this podcast, because I'm very, very tired.
This is a break for you, I hope.
It is. And it's actually refreshing.
I hope
and
this helps.
Yeah, it is. It is. But man, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, definitely. I'll ask you what I asked Miriam, because she was on too. What do you think? How can you describe how far like technology has come with worship stuff, like the way it is now?
Okay, we've become so dependent on it.
I told Miriam the same thing. I said we were spoiled.
Yes, there's a queue for everything.
Yeah.
There's background pads for everything.
Yeah,
There's no
fills
empty
in.
space. Obviously, having the computer and having the
Mm-hmm.
multi-tracks there for you, the stems, the loops, the...
Does the gospel church use it too?
No.
That's all live?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have
I love that.
4-piece band, keys,
Uh-huh.
bass, guitar and drums,
Nice.
and singers. And all we have is a loop and click, and that's it.
Nice.
And there's no aux keys player. There's
Nice.
no synth, or there's no stems.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
I do understand how it can help the small church or the church that really needs it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it fills it out, keeps it together. Honestly, if we had multi-tracks when we were doing our thing, it would have probably helped us.
Yeah.
Maybe fill things out. But at the same time, I agree that, how can I describe this? It is meant to be, how can I best describe this? I want to say
wheels? Training wheels?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I think there's a better way to describe it.
Okay.
What I like to say is it should be a safety net, not a crutch.
Yeah. Okay.
So
like
it
that.
should keep you together, but you shouldn't rely so heavily on it.
Mm-hmm.
Back to when we were, they didn't have, or maybe they did, but we were behind. We didn't have multi-tracks. We had to learn our parts.
Right.
We had to learn the form. We had to literally listen to each other, which is, I think, if honestly, that's probably why you're able to do what you do now, because of how we did, and me, all of us really, because that's how we started. But Miriam was like, I love it. I have a guy telling me where to go, you know?
Yeah.
And so I have a love-hate relationship with it. I'll be honest.
Okay.
I love it because it does keep us together. And I do like how full we use them. Okay.
Yeah.
I do like how full it makes it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I get paid to do what I do. The volunteers we have, which I love them, they're amazing. They do not get paid to do it. They have full-time jobs. They have full-time lives, and they can't always get this solo from bar 13 or whatever. So I get it, you know.
Right.
At the same time, I also don't like being constricted to the form. You know what I mean?
Right.
When we were growing up and doing our thing, we could go off script, and we did a lot.
Yep.
Here, you're forced to stick with it.
Yeah.
So I am kind of I like to do both, and I'm trying to swing that pendulum. I'm trying to do like some with everything and some just a click and a pad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but how crazy is it though that I will say some of the benefits are that I can now hear myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could sometimes, dude, like you couldn't hear Jack squat back in the day. Like I don't know how we got through things, but I like that I can do that. You know, and that's a thing. I also like how we can live stream. That was not a thing when we were, you know.
Yep.
And now you can go back and watch yourself and whatever. Like, oh, that wasn't good there. That wasn't good here. This could flow here. And you can also get inspiration from other churches. But yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with multi-tracks and all that. And again, but I understand it, and I actually like that it's available.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if you always need to have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was playing at our network council or district council, and it was just comprised of different worship pastors and leaders. And we had no tracks because we had a full band, and it was really cool. All we had was a click.
Wow.
And the guy in charge, who was amazing, by the way, his name is Jonathan Lee. He helped write The Proof of Your Great Love for King and Country.
Mm.
So he's amazing. He was our leader, and he just like, he's so good at flowing and going in all these directions. And he said, he's like, I much prefer live over tracks because we can go any direction. We can linger here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're doing tracks, you're stuck to to that roadmap.
Right.
Sometimes that does need to happen, right?
Yeah.
But other times, you know.
So I was going to mention at the gospel church that I play at, Black Church, Baptist Church, since we don't have any multi-tracks and we can go wherever, whichever direction the lead singer wants to go, they can call signs like we used to do in the past.
Back in the day, yeah.
So 1 would be verse, 2 would be chorus, 3 would be bridge. And then if they like move their hand in the circle, or if they do this, is change keys.
Oh, we did change language.
Oh, change language.
Spanish,
English to
All right,
Spanish.
yeah, continue. Sorry. Do this to do it again.
Circle. Yeah, and then end with the fist. But like I think today we were flowing in our praise songs and worship.
Cool.
Like because there wasn't a guide or there wasn't multi-tracks to tell us where to go. We have an MD, but also he's letting the singers go where they.
He's following them.
He's following them, and and then sometimes he calls stuff out for the band, like notes or like something like that, or hits, or like so we'll be playing, and it's kind of like a free flowy and we have a timer. So whatever we can fit in that.
Whatever you can fit.
Yeah, whatever we can fit in that within some structure of it.
Yeah.
We'll do that. And it always comes out so different each time.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and that's why I like sometimes not having the multi-tracks because it's like, man, we can have freedom to change the song, be creative with it. If we know like beforehand we're playing this song again, we're like, hey, why don't we change this up? Why don't we do something different? Why don't we do a line here? Why don't we do something where it's just cymbals or just, singers and kick or I don't know. But whatever the arrangement the MD wants to do, like they'll communicate that beforehand. Yeah. And then we'll have some ideas. We'll be led with the singers. And it's like almost improv sometimes.
I was about to say that. Yeah. So the way you said it was, I don't remember, but something made me think of that. Our jazz professor at Evangel, he would always sometimes give a little mini lesson to the audience. Mm-hmm. He said, jazz is great because we have something called improv. What does that mean? He goes, that means this is cool. You're going to like this. Mm-hmm. Here it comes. He would say, what you're about to... It's not that great. He goes, what you're about to hear, we're never going to play it like that ever again. Yeah. It's going to be completely different every time. Yes. And I love when worship is that way too. And that's how it should be.
Yes. You know? Yes.
Flow.
When you're inspired in the moment.
Yes.
And you just, for some reason, have a thought that you're not probably going to have the same thought the same way. Mm-hmm. Or feel the same way. Yeah. So like you put that into what you're singing or playing in that moment. That's like true worship. That's like that's being very creative and being intimate with like the time that you have like to be able to do that. Yeah. So I agree.
But you also appreciate and can play with a guide, right?
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes
you need that. Like,
if I don't know,
flowy, you're like, okay.
Yeah, if I don't know the players that I'm playing with, I'm like, hey, just set me up with that click, and I'm good. Nice. And we're playing the record, then I'm good. If we're trying to flow with the record, then with
you can
new
do
people,
either.
I can probably do it with new people, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm not too familiar with how they play.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that's why you're so good is because you can do it either way.
Yeah.
And not everyone can do that. Some people absolutely have to have the click and guide. Some people absolutely cannot play with click and guide.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can do both. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to take credit for that, really, but no. But can you imagine if we played today the amount that we've grown even since? Like how would that would be like next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your sister too, she's learned a lot too.
Yeah.
Things have changed ever since we've led worship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's really very different than what it was. How long ago was that? 9-10 years ago. Oh my gosh, we're old. 9-10 years ago, it's very different.
One of the biggest things I think my sister has, and maybe even you probably have this as a singer.
I don't like this look.
Go ahead. Is maybe that musicians can't flow?
I don't think that.
You feel that?
Oh gosh, no.
Okay. Do you think they can?
I love everyone on my team. But what I want to say is I really think that I think the opposite.
Oh, really?
I think there's a misconception that vocalists don't know how to flow.
Okay.
And that only instrumentalists can.
Oh, okay.
Does that kind of does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there's a misconception that only the band can flow, but vocalists can't.
And it also came from like spontaneous worship too,
which we had a lot of
that time. Yeah, that was big.
We had a lot, and we didn't have iPads to look up charts. We had to know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We like printed them out from echords.com or whatever. But I'm sorry. This is going so many directions, and I really need to let you go. But do you remember that one time? I don't know if you were there or not. There was a Wednesday when literally there was no musicians for youth. Do you remember?
No,
I'm not making this up. Well, let me help refresh your memory. We literally, and Evelyn, your sister, very typical Evelyn, was like, "Well, let's just pray." And I'm like, "Come on." Like, you know what I mean? I believe in prayer. She's like, let's just pray the Lord provides. Do you remember this?
No.
And so we're like, okay, fine. Like, Lord provides a musician. And I'm like, whatever. Amen. I'm not joking. Literally, like a few minutes later, this guy comes to the front door with a guitar and an amp. Do you remember this?
Oh, I think I do.
Remember what his name was?
No.
Angel.
Oh yeah.
And he only spoke Spanish. He's like, hey, I really felt led. I need to play. I want to play. I was like, do you remember that?
I think so.
And he played with us.
Yeah. Now, and he never came back.
Nope.
He was a guardian.
He
was
may
like
have been
angel.
an actual angel.
I think so.
Seriously, we never saw him again.
Angel.
His name was Angel.
Bro, that's crazy.
I'm getting chills.
Bro.
But like, Evelyn literally said, "Let's just pray." And a guy guys, I'm not making this up. See, right?
I remember now.
A guy shows up with. I'm getting chills.
Dude, he had like a little amp.
He had an amp and a guitar, and he literally just said, "Hey, I play guitar, worship music, and sing. Can I?" And we're like,
never saw that dude.
We never saw him again.
That's crazy.
And he sang, and he remember that?
Yeah. You know what? Okay, never mind. That's
all right. I got a better story anyway.
Yeah, go
Do you remember when we did fine arts, and there was a cable not working? Do you remember that story? One of the cables wasn't working. I don't remember if it was a 1/4 inch or a power cable.
Okay.
And we were like getting set. The band before us was going. And again, Lord forgive me, I'm a pastor. I believe in the power of prayer, okay? But I was like, the cable's not working. I was freaking out. I was like, what are we going to do? And I don't remember who it was. It was Isaac or Jonathan. Somebody said, well, let's pray over it. And I'm like, come on. And so we literally prayed over the cable. We went out, plugged in. It worked.
Wow.
The set was over. It stopped working.
Oh, I think
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think so.
Amazing. Dude.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The Lord's amazing. The Lord's awesome.
That's good.
It's so cool.
Man, I had a story, but it's just...
What is it?
It doesn't fit.
I can always edit it.
Okay, so the place I went to go, inspired to go, so I remember, okay, this might fit. The place I went to go see Abby Gamboa.
Thanks for the invite, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
Actually, you did invite me.
I did, and I just
I'm so sorry.
I didn't specify.
This is going way too long, but...
And so when I went to go see them... I'm
going to edit that out. But.
See that Abby Gamboa, I was like, man, you know, it sounds so great here, and the church is awesome facilities. The drummer looks so familiar. It was a girl, you know, a chick playing. And I'm like, oh, she plays really good, you know, that's awesome. And then I start to observe, you know, the way that they play.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know, but like technique, drummers,
yeah.
I remember if this person did that or that, you know, like I just focus in on what they're doing.
Same way with French horn players. No, continue. I'm sorry, continue.
So I'm like, the way that this person was playing reminds me of somebody that like, I feel like I've met them before. And I'm like, this person looks familiar too. Like I don't remember even like knowing them. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they look familiar. And then I'm like, I put pieces together and I'm like, I do know who they are. I remember teaching them how to play a little bit.
Really?
On the drums, because my sister, like you said, used to do girls' camps.
Yep.
And was heavily recruited by the leaders to do that and put together a band. And at this particular girls' camp, she had girls, like an actual girl band. So
that was always her goal, by the way.
Yeah, they always wanted a
full girl band
at a girl camp. Yeah.
And they eventually did. But
yeah, so they had a girl drummer, girl guitar, bass, everything.
Yeah.
Keys. So that dream was finally accomplished, but they needed help. I'm sorry. They needed help, and then so her actual. I know. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Her actual band, which was us,
they
came and tried to help.
They were the fake band. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were like, you know. Anyways, we were trying to like help, like, them play with Evelyn basically, and like this is how, you know, the song would go and this structure. Learn this part. And I remember being there in the practice, and that drummer, being very like small at that time.
Yeah.
She was a young girl, and playing for Evelyn for this girls' camp.
Yeah.
And little do I know, now when I went to that concert with Abby Gamboa, she was there.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she was playing drums.
Drumming?
Yes.
You want to say her name or no?
What
letter does it start with?
Emily. I think her name is Emily, and she's crazy. She's part of a group that I'm in Instagram with, H-Town Drummers.
She's there because of you?
No.
But so does she play at Inspire, or does she tour with...
She plays in the Woodlands, at the Woodlands Church.
So was this like a hired band they put together for that?
It was kind of like
probably?
It was probably hired.
Yeah.
I think so. They probably were contracted, but...
You know you'll get one of those calls, right? Have you gotten one of those yet for an artist doing a concert, like we need a drummer? Have you gotten one of those yet?
I'm pretty sure. I just don't remember at the...
Yeah.
I mean... There's been gospel artists that I played with at the church. I don't remember their names.
Houston is also huge. Like everyone comes to Houston. No one comes to Sioux City, Iowa.
So when I was playing at the gospel church, supposedly there was like big name jazz players.
Oh, that's cool.
And like listening in and being in worship, you know, in the audience. Yeah. And we did not even know who they were. Like we didn't notice. We didn't see who they were. Huh. And they're like, "Did you know this person was there?" I'm like, "No." Did you know that person came today? No. The singer came? No. I'm like, and then they're like, if somebody comes, like, they're so humble, like, too. They don't, like, want to...
big names?
The big names come through, and they don't even, like, say anything. Yeah. But, like, just being humble and just, just going through.
Yeah.
Coming through. And so, yeah.
Dude, thanks so much for stopping by.
Yeah, bro.
This was really fun reminiscing.
Yeah, it is.
I miss hanging out with you guys and playing with you, and proud of all that you're doing. Mm-hmm. I like seeing where you're at. You're now on social media. You weren't on for a while. You were a little late to the social media game, or you just added me late. Dang. No. But I like seeing stuff on your story, where you're at, where you're playing, and thank you for playing for Miriam. They really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun playing.
They really appreciate it. And yeah, like I said, I hope you still enjoy doing it. Some people get like burnout or whatever, and I'm not there yet. I'll never get there. But I don't know about you, but I told the Lord, literally, seriously, I said, Lord, the rest of my life, if I'm physically, mentally able, I'm gonna play or volunteer. Yeah. Seriously. Mm-hmm. And Lewis, the amount of stuff I've learned since taking this job, like I can't even express how much I've learned about technology, about audio levels, even what we're doing now. I could not do this 4 years ago. You know what I mean? And the church world has evolved so much since we were together in the same youth group. The theme of this podcast is conversations of hope and healing. So I don't know if you want to throw one little nugget out there about somebody, maybe encouragement. I don't know if what comes to mind, what comes to your spirit at all, if anything.
I think, let me see. Let me dig through my archives. Okay. I think
not very many archives.
Not very many, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I've always, like you said, I agree with that, where you said, as long as I'm able, physically able, mentally, and just aware enough to know that God deserves our worship.
Yeah.
And I will always want to worship him at that capacity, at the best capacity that I can.
Right.
And so I would just encourage everybody that's listening here, never take it for granted.
Seriously.
Because it could go away, and in many different ways. Like I've played at some of the biggest stages, for thousands of people at conventions, and had to travel. People paid me to go. They paid for my flight, and I go play at big conventions and big churches and small churches. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what level.
That's good.
Where, how many people you're playing for or playing to in the audience, but know that you're only playing for one person. That's good. So, and you're playing for God and you're worshiping the King. So I would also say that, don't take it for granted. You're playing for, and I remember Isai always saying this, you're playing for an audience of one. That always it was always funny when he said it. Like, audience of one, guys, remember. And I'm like, no, you know what? That's kind of true now that you mentioned it.
You're actually right.
Yeah, it's like, man, he had some wisdom back then.
Yeah.
But anyways.
That's good.
And I want to say one more thing. Don't take it for granted. Like, looking back at all we've gone through and what we've done together as far as being a worship team together and youth and everything, it's like, man, don't take that for granted either. You can build some really great memories and in the presence of God, together. So, I'll end with that then.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever need a French horn player, give me a call.
Oh man, I don't know if I'll ever need one, but okay.
That's
I'll
funny.
keep that in mind.
I'll throw one last nugget, if I may, not to be overtly spiritual, but I am the pastor in the room. No. I preached on this a while ago, but I was talking about Moses. And so what I want to say is, to add on to what you're saying, don't take it for granted, take advantage of opportunities or whatever, an audience of one, but also keep in mind that they're not your gifts and abilities to begin with. The Lord gave them to you.
Right.
And I think of Moses when he had his staff and the Lord called him to show all the miraculous signs and stuff. If you read in Exodus, he says, throw the staff on the ground. And it's after Moses throws it on the ground that God turns it into a snake. So whatever abilities or gifts you have, give it to the Lord, surrender it, and let him do the extraordinary through the ordinary.
Right.
It was only after he let it go, surrendered it, that God did something supernatural. Same thing here. I think really you may have had a serious conversation with the Lord, say, I'm open to whatever you got, and now he's doing what he's doing. So,
yeah. Can I say something to that?
Please.
Because that's exactly where I'm at, like in my life right now.
Yep.
Where I'm like, man, you asked me, what are you doing now? Where are you playing? And like, I actually don't have a home church. So I'm like jumping around, but I would occasionally go to a Numa church, listening to a preaching there if I'm not doing anything, playing anywhere, or my uncle's church. But it's where God has me, where I am useful at this time. You know how Jesus started his ministry at 30, and then 33 was
died
crucified.
at 33. Yeah. Is that what you see? No.
No. So at 33, no, it's over. But no. But I'm like in that time, I feel like where God is just, I'm of use.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's like, you're of useful. You're a useful tool to me.
Yeah.
For me, and so let me use you.
Yeah.
And like you said about burnout and whatever, and all that. I'm not burnt out, but I'm like, man, God's using me.
Yeah.
And I see that. I feel it. And I know that, like you said, surrender your gift to God, and He's gonna put you places. And
no matter what that gift is, by the way,
no matter
it doesn't, and you don't have to. I don't want people listening. I don't play an instrument or saying God can use anything.
Yes,
of
course, yeah.
So
I agree, and that's all I have. But just be of use. Whatever you have, be of use to God.
That's good.
And give it to God, and He's gonna do great work through you.
That's good.
If you allow Him to,
Yeah. For real, the last thing. Seriously. I mean, I went to Tab this morning as well.
Oh, really?
Because anytime I'm in town, I have to go. I have to. Okay. And I listened to some podcasts and interviews of, Saturday Night Live, SNL.
Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated with that show. And everyone described, not everyone, but a couple people have described it as, so there's former cast members they interview, and they say that when they go back to SNL, the studio, they describe it as when they walk in there, so much has changed, but at the same time, everything has stayed the same.
Yeah.
It's literally what it's like. This morning, I walked in there, I was like, wow, so much has changed, but at the same time, it's the same. But I also got kind of emotional because I knew we were going to do this. So I was like, that's the platform where it all started.
Dang. Yeah.
That's where it all started.
Yeah.
That is where we played together. That is where we had powerful altar calls. That is where we had guest speakers. That's where it all started. And I'm forever grateful to that church. That opportunity.
I agree. And you know what's funny? That so much has changed, but so little has changed, like you're saying.
Yep.
So I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, I still see the orange carpet, the orange, and the benches that had the orange.
Actually, when I say Tab, that's the first image that comes to my mind, even though it doesn't look like that anymore.
I know, even though it doesn't look like that, I still imagine it that way. And the carpet, like being on the stage too, and then the big wooden pillars that the beams. Yeah,
that's funny. That's
funny, so I still imagine it that way, even though it's not there.
I see it in my head right now, even though it doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Lewis, thank you so much.
Yeah, bro.
I hope people listening, I hope you guys were encouraged by this. If you were, share it. Just two friends reminiscing, but also sharing about how God can use us, and God can use you too if you're listening. Seriously. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to follow Restoration Podcast on Spotify and Apple. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe.